Been told y'all. I can't talk right now. I'm on live.
Named DL Hughley.
Yep.
And until he take accountability, I won't let
Mo'Nique was on. Every time I see Mo'Nique these days, she's on doing some greasy ass video with her and her daddy complaining about something. And we played all the time with everybody called Would You Rather. She apparently was so offended by that she says she got off. She called me. Mo'Nique did, and she said I was very dismissive, like, Mo'Nique's a lie.
Okay, so imagine you open Instagram and the first thing you hear is DL Hughley mid-rant, like he just found out Wi-Fi has feelings. Man's on live, sweating arrogance, name-dropping himself like it's 2004, and throwing shade at Mo'Nique like it's a full-time job. But let's pause right there, because this wasn't just a casual comedian talk smack on live moment. Nope, this was the spark that lit a full-on cultural fire. You're not hallucinating. DL Hughley really hopped on camera to drag Mo'Nique and her husband, calling them greasy, like this was a cookout gone wrong. And the internet? Oh, it heard him. Within minutes, clips of this live were bouncing across X, Reddit, and TikTok like wildfire. Memes popped up faster than DL could say accountability. Fans were like, not another comedian feud in 2025? Can y'all do a group therapy session instead? But here's the wild part. This wasn't just about Mo'Nique. This was about respect, about old Hollywood egos colliding with new age transparency. DL thought he was setting the record straight, but all he did was start a digital war that even TMZ had to grab popcorn for. And if you thought it ended there, you'd be wrong. Because after this little, I can't talk, I'm on live meltdown, two other legends entered the chat. And that's when things went nuclear. But that's not even the wild part.
If the people who felt like I felt, all these multi-men, spoke up and said something, the narrative would start.
So DL's here, sipping ego and calling Mo'Nique a liar like he's hosting a courtroom he built himself. No evidence, no context, just vibes. And then he tries to brush it off like she's the problem for feeling dismissed. Classic deflection energy. You know that tone? The I didn't do anything, she's just emotional tone. Yeah, that one. And that's exactly how this so-called Hollywood misunderstanding turned into a full-blown circus. It's wild. 1 second, they're both comedy royalty. The next, they're beefing like it's WWE SmackDown, comedy edition. Fans were stunned like, wait, these two? But nah, this wasn't a publicity stunt. This was ego versus ego, truth versus reputation, and nobody was playing nice anymore. What made it even crazier is how fast this exploded. Within hours, the story left the comedy blogs and hit every mainstream feed. People started pulling up old interviews, podcast clips, award show speeches, anything that showed who really started it. Reddit threads were on fire. TikTok detectives were editing timelines like it was a true crime doc. And Twitter, well, Twitter did what Twitter does, chaos. But that's when the twist hit. Out of nowhere, two voices nobody expected jumped into the chat. Lil Boosie and Katt Williams. And the second they opened their mouths, this stopped being about two comedians and turned into something way bigger. Because when Boosie and Katt step in, it's not for clout, it's for principle. And trust me, you're not ready for what happens next.
You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer is over here, but the answer is really over here.
And this is where the internet did that collective wait a minute moment. Because once you hear the words Lil Boosie and Katt Williams in the same sentence, you already know peace just left the group chat. These are not PR-friendly men. These are two raw, unfiltered chaos generators who've built entire careers out of saying what everyone else is too scared to. Boosie jumps in like, hold up, you're not about to disrespect Mo'Nique like that. And suddenly, this turned from comedy beef to cultural warfare. The man who once gave us "wipe me down" is now giving out lectures on accountability. And honestly, the internet was living for it. One tweet went viral saying, when Boosie's the voice of reason, you know the timeline's broken. And Katt Williams? Oh, he didn't just join the conversation, he hijacked it. You could practically hear the sound of the internet refreshing, waiting for his take. Because if there's one person who can roast you and make a philosophical point about the entertainment industry in the same breath, it's Katt. The two of them standing behind Mo'Nique instantly changed the tone. It wasn't gossip anymore. It was a statement. Like, we said what we said, and we're not deleting it. It reminded fans of how real ones move when they see injustice, loud, loyal, and unapologetic. And when Boosie dropped that line about, if people who felt like me spoke up, the narrative would change, it hit deeper than a subtweet. Because he wasn't just talking about Mo'Nique, he was talking about every black entertainer who's ever been told to be grateful and stay quiet. But you already know the internet doesn't do quiet. Because the moment Boosie hit go live, this drama went from simmering to scorching. And you won't believe what he said next.
How somebody who has a comedian talks as everybody else that she does, she has the temerity to be offended about anything as much as you say about people?
Oh, and that was the digital knockout punch nobody saw coming. Boosie didn't just throw shade, he dropped a full eclipse. The man really said, smartest one, just loudest with Wi-Fi. And you could almost hear the internet scream in unison. Comments were flying in like, Boosie out here giving TED Talks on humility. And DL gotta unplug that router ASAP. And then, enter Katt Williams, the philosopher of chaos himself. He doesn't even raise his voice. He just slides in calm, surgical, and deadly. Humility ain't something you can write into your set. Translation? You can't perform being humble. It's either in you or it's not. And that's when fans realized this wasn't just two comedians checking DL. It was two truth-tellers calling out a pattern the industry's been quiet about for years. Suddenly, the energy flipped. People stopped clowning and started listening. Even die-hard DL fans were like, okay, maybe he did play that wrong. Because when both Boosie and Katt, two men who never agree on anything, are saying the same thing, you pay attention. This moment turned into a masterclass on how fast power dynamics shift online. DL went from trending for laughs to trending for lessons. And in a space where reputation is currency, that's a public devaluation in real time. But DL wasn't about to take that sitting down. Oh no. The man who never misses a microphone moment decided to clap back, and this time it got personal.
Is saying yes to you. I should have said no when you couldn't come on my radio show. I should have said no that I wasn't playing those dates.
And there it is, the comeback nobody asked for, but everybody watched. DL really went on national radio to call out irrelevant DVD comedians like it was still 2006. Man pulled out the blockbuster insult pack and thought he ate. But here's where it got messy. Instead of landing a punch, he exposed himself. Because when you're truly secure, you don't need to remind the world who paved what road. You let your legacy speak. But DL, he was out here narrating his own Wikipedia page like it was a roast special. And the internet wasted no time turning it into content gold. TikTok was flooded with edits. Boosie and Katt laughing over DL's quote, memes of DVD cases titled DL's Greatest Hits of Insecurity, and Reddit threads with titles like The Moment DL's Ego Hit 4K Resolution. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. DL talking about paving the way like he ain't been putting up construction cones since 2010. You could practically feel the ego deflating in 1080p. Fans called it career self-sabotage live on FM radio. Even longtime supporters admitted the joke didn't land, because when the clapback sounds like a resume, it's not a read, it's a cry for relevance. And just when people thought it couldn't get more awkward, DL's team doubled down online, posting clips, defending his legacy, and even throwing shade at younger entertainers who disrespect their elders. Spoiler alert, that only made it worse. Because the next move? Boosie and Katt teamed up, and when those two join forces, you know someone's about to trend for the wrong reason.
As a matter of fact, almost anybody who says yes to you at some point is in this milieu with you. Almost anybody. So I would suggest anybody out there, you can say yes to George, say no to Mo'Nique.
Oh, this was the moment. The digital funeral for DL's ego. Boosie and Katt sitting side by side, tag-teaming jokes like, it's a roast battle nobody signed up for, and they didn't even have to try. Just pure, unbothered chaos in HD. Boosie came in swinging with DL mad cause he the only one who think he's still top 5, and you could feel the sting through the Wi-Fi. Then Katt, with that calm, cold precision, dropped the finishing blow. Top 5? Maybe in his own group chat, that line? That's going down in meme history next to keep my wife's name out your mouth. And the internet detonated. TikTok timelines looked like a funeral slideshow for DL's credibility. People were quoting Katt's line in their bios, remixing it into diss tracks, even making fake group chat screenshots titled DL's Top 5, featuring DL, and DL. But beyond the memes, this moment symbolized something deeper. It was the passing of the comedic torch in real time. Boosie and Katt represented a new kind of raw, uncensored authenticity, the kind audiences crave now. Meanwhile, DL was still playing by the old-school rulebook of respect the hierarchy. Except online, there is no hierarchy. The comment section is the new crowd, and the crowd just booed the king off stage. And just when DL tried to save face, his past comments about Boosie resurfaced. Yep, fans dug up receipts from years ago that showed this beef wasn't new, and what they found, it flipped the whole narrative upside down.
Been telling y'all, black women are being underpaid. She been telling y'all women are being underpaid.
And here it is, the plot twist nobody saw coming. The internet loves receipts, and boy did they deliver. Somebody unearthed that old Vlad TV interview like it was a hidden scroll from the archives of pettiness. DL, looking smug, calling Boosie the kind of guy who sets us back 10 years every time he opens his mouth. Fast forward to now, and he's the one being dragged for setting himself back with every word. That's what we call full circle karma, sponsored by the algorithm. Reddit went feral. One user wrote, DL really said Boosie sets us back 10 years. Now he's the one stuck in 2013. Another chimed in, imagine calling someone ignorant then losing a public debate to them on Instagram Live. And that's when it hit people. This wasn't just about comedy beef anymore. This was about ego versus authenticity. DL built his brand on being the educated comedian, the guy who always keeps it real. But here's the contradiction. Keeping it real doesn't mean talking down to people. It means understanding them. And that's where Boosie and Katt won. They connected with the audience emotionally, while DL tried to win intellectually. You can't out-logic charisma. You can't outsmart vibe. The people decided, and DL lost the vibe war. But if you thought this was where the drama ended, oh no. This was just Act 2. Because right after the receipts resurfaced, Mo'Nique herself decided to jump in. And when Mo'Nique enters the chat, it's never quiet.
But when people start opening their mouth up, it becomes reality.
Oh, Mo'Nique said, maybe it's you. And the internet felt that in Dolby surround sound. Drop, done, finished. This wasn't shade. This was a solar eclipse of truth. Let's be real. Mo'Nique didn't even have to raise her voice. She just hit go live, smiled like a disappointed aunt at Thanksgiving, and dismantled DL's entire brand in 2 sentences. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you. That's not a read. That's an obituary for your reputation. And she wrote it in cursive. Fans went absolutely feral. One tweet went viral saying, Mo'Nique just served revenge with a smile and no crumbs left. Another fan wrote, DL's name should stand for didn't learn. TikTok edits were popping up within minutes. Dramatic zooms, gospel choir soundtracks, even a fake perfume ad labeled Accountability by Mo'Nique. But here's the deeper layer. This wasn't random. This was long overdue payback. Remember, Mo'Nique and DL's feud started years ago after that messy contract drama on the Comedy Explosion tour. He called her difficult, and the industry blacklisted her for being uncooperative. Fast forward to 2025, and now he's beefing with half the internet while she's sitting pretty on live glowing and giggling. It's poetic, it's karmic, it's cinematic justice. But the timing, that's what made this so wild. Mo'Nique didn't just jump in, she waited for DL to dig his own hole, then handed him the shovel. And fans noticed. The comments were filled with lines like, she waited 3 years for this moment, and patience is the deadliest weapon. And guess what? DL saw the clip, and he couldn't resist clapping back again. What he said next made everything 10 times worse.
Me, brother. I get emotional talking about it, bro. Like, I really needed it at the time.
And there it is. DL's PR Nightmare Part 2. The fake peace apology tour nobody believed. The man really said bitterness disguised as wisdom, as if he's auditioning for the role of unbothered villain number 1. But here's the thing. When you have to say you're unbothered that many times, you're definitely bothered. Twitter went into meltdown mode. One user wrote, DL's the type to throw a rock, hide his hand, then write a think piece about how his hand's misunderstood. Another commented, imagine calling Mo'Nique bitter when you've been arguing with your shadow for 3 weeks straight. The internet could smell the deflection a mile away. Every podcast, every commentary page, every shady meme account was like, "Sir, just take the L gracefully." But DL couldn't. Instead, he did what every cornered celebrity does. He tried to sound philosophical. "I wish her peace, though. Somebody gotta." Bro, that's not enlightenment. That's passive-aggressive poetry. He basically sprinkled salt and called it sage. The fans weren't buying it. Even neutral followers were saying, at this point, DL needs to take a social media sabbatical and go journal. And Mo'Nique? She didn't even respond with words. She just posted one cryptic picture, her sipping tea with the caption, "Peace achieved." That's how you win a feud without breaking a sweat. But the real chaos wasn't even on Instagram. It was on TikTok, where creators started dissecting DL's every move like a case study in ego management gone wrong. And one viral thread broke it down perfectly.
It's something for me, brother. I get emotional talking about it, bro. Like, I really needed it at the time.
And just like that, TikTok turned into a courtroom. And at the pop detective was the judge, jury, and meme executioner. This 3-minute edit didn't just go viral, it went academic. The way the creator dissected DL's career like a failed science project was surgical. DL's problem isn't talent, it's tone. Who? That line cut deeper than any roast he's ever delivered, because it's true. His punchlines aren't the issue, it's the arrogance wrapped around them. The internet loves a public self-own, and this was a masterclass. Fans started quoting at the pop detective like scripture. One comment said, "This video explained in 3 minutes what DL's been avoiding for 3 decades. Another read, "He built his career on being real, now he's allergic to accountability." Ouch. What made it even wilder was how the video humanized everyone except DL. It painted Boosie as reactive, Katt as observant, and Mo'Nique as vindicated. DL? He came off like the final boss of outdated thinking, a relic still trying to control the narrative in a world that doesn't want hierarchies anymore. And the numbers don't lie. Within 48 hours, the TikTok had over 100,000 duets, thousands of remixes, and a trending hashtag, #DL Delusional. People were reenacting his radio rant, lip-syncing his "I paved the way" line, and even staging mock therapy sessions where they helped DL find humility. But while everyone was laughing, something darker was happening behind the scenes. DL's sponsors, the ones funding his tour, started quietly pulling out. And when money gets involved, that's when reputations really crumble.
DL Hughley.
Yep.
And until he take accountability, I won't let it go.
The public beef between the duo.
And there it is, the classic celebrity downfall stage. Denial dressed up as confidence. DL really tried to spin losing sponsors into a power move, like, "They didn't leave me, I left them." Bro, they ghosted you harder than Netflix ghosted cable. This was the beginning of the money melt phase. Once sponsors start pausing involvement, that's PR code for, "We'll call you when you're not trending for the wrong reasons." Every brand meeting instantly turned into a group chat of executives saying, "Yeah, let's maybe not be on the same poster as that drama." The internet had a field day with it. One viral tweet said, "DL out here losing sponsors faster than Boosie loses Instagram accounts." Another fan joked, "He said he paved the way, now the road's closed due to lack of funding." And the worst part? Every time DL clapped back, it made the headlines even louder. Instead of cooling off, he doubled down, posting cryptic quotes like, "They fear those who speak the truth," and "Real men don't fold." But here's the irony. Speaking truth and refusing accountability are not the same thing. This isn't 1987 Def Comedy Jam. You can't bully your way through a scandal anymore. The audience is too online, too observant, too savage. Meanwhile, Mo'Nique's engagement spiked. Boosie dropped a new freestyle referencing DL by name, and Katt was reportedly planning a Netflix special that might or might not include a DL joke. DL was being clowned across every platform, but what really sealed the deal was what leaked next. Someone from DL's own team allegedly dropped screenshots that made this feud go from funny to fatal.
You did a post about, you did an interview about. I didn't do that interview. I simply reposted what you said.
And that's when the mask completely slipped. The leaked screenshots, whether real or not, hit harder than any joke DL ever told. It showed the side people had been whispering about for years. The pride, the ego, the can't ever be wrong energy. He called the same people who defended him for decades ungrateful clowns, and fans weren't having it. One comment blew up on X saying, "DL Hughley's biggest problem isn't Mo'Nique, it's his reflection." That line went crazy viral. Within 24 hours, DL turned off his comments, and the internet declared it checkmate. Meanwhile, Mo'Nique dropped a calm, classy post saying, "The truth don't need defense. It stands tall by itself." Boosie reposted it with, "Real, recognize, real." And Katt Williams? He just tweeted 3 words, "Greater than comedy, ain't safe." And that was it. The digital mic drop heard around Hollywood. The saga that started as just another celebrity beef ended up becoming a mirror, showing how fast fame flips when you start fighting for ego instead of respect. At the end of the day, DL lost more than sponsors. He lost the room. And in comedy, that's the one thing you can't afford. It all started quietly, with DL Hughley on live, throwing what seemed like another casual jab, but beneath that light tone was something sharp, something that would soon explode into one of the most chaotic public feuds in comedy. When DL called Mo'Nique a liar, the internet felt the tremor immediately, because every time those two names collide, the fallout isn't just gossip, it's generational. The tension had been building for years, but this moment was the spark. Mo'Nique had already opened up during her Club Shay Shay interview, peeling back layers of Hollywood politics, old scars, and betrayal. She spoke about her struggles, her name being blackballed, and how she'd fought for respect after winning an Oscar for Precious. And instead of empathy, DL went straight for the throat, calling her dishonest, mocking her marriage, and dragging her reputation through the mud. But this time, she wasn't alone. Because just when the internet thought the feud couldn't get any uglier, Lil Boosie and Katt Williams entered the chat, and everything changed. Boosie didn't hold back. He went live, defending Mo'Nique with the same energy he's known for when something feels unjust. He said it wasn't about clout, it wasn't about taking sides. It was about principle, about how black women in Hollywood have been underpaid, dismissed, and disrespected for decades. He reminded everyone that Mo'Nique had been saying this for years, from her 2022 Netflix fight to the backlash she faced after her Oscar win. He brought up the pay gap that most people try to ignore. How Hollywood could hand Brad Pitt $25 million for a movie, but offer Mo'Nique $150,000 for the same kind of work. He connected her struggle to Taraji P. Henson's emotional confession about being underpaid. The message was loud. This wasn't just Mo'Nique's battle. It was every black woman's battle who ever had to work twice as hard to earn half as much. And then there was Katt Williams. He wasn't on the sidelines either. His history with both Boosie and Mo'Nique ran deep, a bond formed through loyalty and real-life hardship. Boosie once shared that after he got out of prison, when he was broke and trying to care for his kids, Katt came through with thousands of dollars wrapped in a towel. It wasn't just money, it was respect. That history mattered, because when Boosie stood up for Mo'Nique, Katt followed immediately. It wasn't random, it was payback for the time Mo'Nique had publicly defended him when he was being blackballed for telling hard truths about the industry. She'd called him one of the few who dared to be authentic, and now he was returning that same energy. To Katt, this wasn't gossip, it was a moral code. He saw DL's attacks on Mo'Nique as a bigger reflection of how Hollywood treats truth-tellers. And Katt's never been shy about naming names or exposing fake industry friendships. So when he jumped in, fans knew this wasn't a skit, this was war. The feud turned public fast, clips went viral, comment sections turned into battlegrounds. 1 minute, people were laughing at memes. The next, they were debating gender, power, and respect in the black entertainment world. The internet thrives on chaos, and this had all the ingredients: betrayal, receipts, hypocrisy, and hurt. But the roots of this feud go back further than anyone realized. In 2022, DL and Mo'Nique were both booked for a comedy show in Detroit. Simple lineup, 2 legends, 1 stage. But backstage, things went south. Mo'Nique said her contract clearly named her as the headliner. DL allegedly refused to perform if she went last. That night, what was supposed to be laughter turned into a shouting match about respect. DL denied it. Mo'Nique stood her ground, and when she went on stage, she didn't hold back, calling him out by name in front of the audience. The crowd gasped, phones came out, and within hours, the clip was everywhere. That night reignited everything. From there, Mo'Nique went live, breaking down her side, the contracts, the conversations, the years of being undermined. DL, in return, went on air saying she twisted the facts. But then she brought up something no one expected, a painful story DL himself had once shared about his daughter, who'd gone through trauma that he initially didn't believe. Mo'Nique's point was that black women's pain often goes unheard, even in their own families. That's when the internet exploded again. Some said she crossed a line. Others said she was just pointing out the truth. DL and his daughter both responded, saying she had gone too far. Mo'Nique replied, calm but unapologetic, "That's your conscience talking to you, brother." By now, the line between truth and disrespect had vanished. DL accused Mo'Nique of being manipulative, saying she was kind only when she wanted something. He mocked her Netflix special, calling it trash, and claimed he regretted ever letting her on his show. But instead of making Mo'Nique look bad, his words started turning against him. Fans began revisiting old interviews. His contradictions surfaced. People remembered his comments about other women in the industry, and suddenly, the pattern was clear. The narrative started shifting. When Mo'Nique responded, she didn't scream, she reasoned. She said DL only pulled offensive radio segments because she threatened legal action, not out of respect. That one statement flipped the internet upside down. People started calling DL defensive, insecure, and hypocritical. The same energy he used to call others out was now being turned on him. Boosie and Katt saw it all and doubled down. They said this wasn't just celebrity beef. This was a reflection of how the industry destroys black artists who don't play the game. Katt said Hollywood has a habit of burying those who refuse to stay quiet. Boosie said the same thing in his way. When people start opening their mouths, reality changes. Soon, Mo'Nique's narrative didn't sound bitter anymore. It sounded prophetic. She'd been warning people about this treatment for years, and now the receipts were playing out in real time. The internet caught fire. Memes, edits, reaction videos, the whole culture joined the conversation. It was comedians versus comedians, truth versus image, and every word felt personal. Mo'Nique's fight for respect wasn't new. Back in 2022, when she sued Netflix for gender and racial pay discrimination, she exposed how deep the problem went. She was offered $500,000 for a stand-up special, while others were offered millions. When she refused, the industry labeled her difficult. That label became a weapon, one that DL used again when he called her bitter. Boosie wasn't having that. He said people love to silence outspoken women by calling them angry or crazy. He said Mo'Nique was just asking for what she earned. And when Taraji P. Henson cried publicly about the same issue, it proved Mo'Nique wasn't lying. She was early. Katt echoed it too. He said the real issue wasn't Mo'Nique's mouth, it was her truth. The same truth that made her dangerous to a system built on silence. DL kept posting, but every time he did, the backlash grew louder. Fans flooded his comments with clips from his past, old contradictions, and interviews that aged like milk. Some said he was exposing his own insecurities more than he was defending his integrity. Meanwhile, Mo'Nique kept her tone grounded. She went live again with her husband, Sydney, speaking calmly, saying she wasn't here to tear anyone down, just to tell her truth. That line hit hard, because despite all the public humiliation, she was still standing tall. Her strength became her revenge. Fans rallied behind her. Old videos of her interviews resurfaced, and the internet started connecting dots. Every warning she'd ever given about Hollywood seemed to be proving itself right. Katt's old interviews went viral again too, especially the ones where he said the industry rewards silence and punishes honesty. People realized that Mo'Nique, Boosie, and Katt weren't troublemakers. They were survivors. All three had faced public rejection for refusing to play the puppet. As the chaos unfolded, other celebrities started chiming in, indirectly, of course. Cryptic tweets about real ones being misunderstood began to appear. The silence from some industry insiders was even louder. Media outlets ran stories nonstop. Headlines turned the feud into a full-blown cultural conversation, and the fans, as always, became the jury. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. If anyone thinks DL Hughley has clean hands after what the other kings of comedy have done, you're blind. That comment hit like a truth bomb. It reminded everyone that DL came up alongside Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, and Cedric the Entertainer, a circle that's had its own share of questionable moves and rumored gatekeeping. By now, the feud had transformed into something much bigger. It wasn't just DL versus Mo'Nique. It was about authenticity versus appearance, courage versus comfort, and truth versus reputation. Mo'Nique became the symbol of resistance, the woman who refused to shut up. Boosie became the voice of the streets, saying what others were too scared to say. and Katt became the conscience, the reminder that speaking truth comes with a cost. DL, on the other hand, became the cautionary tale, proof that once ego outweighs empathy, you lose the people's respect. As time passed, things quieted down. DL went silent. Mo'Nique refocused her energy, rebuilding her career, reconnecting with fans, and reclaiming her power. The support from Boosie and Katt gave her momentum, a second wind that reminded everyone she was never the villain. She was the voice too real for Hollywood comfort. The whole saga left a lasting mark. It revealed that fame doesn't free you, it only amplifies your battles. The stage lights just make the scars easier to see. And when it's all said and done, this feud will be remembered not just for the drama, but for the truth it forced into the open. That respect in Hollywood is fragile, and power only protects the ones willing to stay quiet. Because in the end, Mo'Nique didn't just fight back. She reminded everyone that silence was never her style. So where does that leave everyone now? Boosie and Katt still ride for her. DL's silence speaks volumes, and fans, well, they're still debating whose side history will take. But one thing's for sure, this story isn't over. Because in Hollywood, every feud fades until the next interview drops. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video you see on your screen for even more juicy celebrity chaos, betrayals, and stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. See you in the next one.